Hey guys, Kenny here. I'm here to review the 2001 science fiction movie Artificial Intelligence. And this stars Haley Joel Osment, Francis O'Connor, Jude Law, Sam Robards, Jake Thomas, and William Hurt. And this is based on a short story by Brian Aldiss called Super Toys Last All Summer Long. And this was, I think this was a project that Stanley Kubrick was working on, and he had told Steven Spielberg about this dream project that he had was planning on doing. Stanley Kubrick. I just love watching this movie so much. The basic plot is about this family, Henry Swinton, played by Sam Robards, and Monica, played by Francis O'Connor. They have a son, Martin, played by Jake Thomas, and he has this rare disease and they're afraid that he might die. So they have this artificial boy named David, played by Haley Joel Osment. He's an advanced prototype model created by Cybertronics, and he looks and so much like a young boy. It's uncanny. It's like he looks like a real human, but he's not a human. And David starts becoming getting to know Martin, and Martin could try doesn't really know what to do with. David kind of mistreats him, and there's this birthday party that Martin has, and I think David ends up pulling him down into a pool, and then that makes the mom, Monica, that makes her want to try and take David back to Cybertronics for destruction. But she doesn't go to Cybertronics. She drops him off back into this forest, and she kind of sets up this little picnic area, but they really aren't having a picnic. She's just there to drop him off into the forest, and she leaves him, and that's the last time David ever sees her alive as a human. And David is told to stay away from these. David also, he was given this robotic teddy bear voiced by Jack Angel, and its name is Teddy, and David walks around with Teddy throughout the movie. And David is told by his mom Monica, to stay away from these fairs called flesh fairs, those are fairs where they kill these machines like what he is, or just they just are out to kill machines. And David ends up becoming befriending this another mecha. They're like these a mecha. He's like this lover mecha is what they're called. And Gigolo Joe, played by Jude Law, male a male prostitute, and he's framed for a murder by the husband. And David sees Joe at this flesh fair, but they first see each other, meet up with each other, and then David goes to this flesh fair, and then that's when he meets Joe for the first time, and then they have to try and escape, and then they end up escaping that flesh fair. And David tells Joe that he wishes to become a real boy, and in order to do that he has to see this blue fairy. And they go to this place called Rogue City, and that's where David goes to see this hologram, Dr. No, voiced by Robin Williams, and that's where Dr. No tells David where to go to try and get to this blue fairy, and they go to Manhattan to find the blue fairy. And they get to this place in Manhattan where Professor Hobby works. But then Joe ends up being arrested, and that's the last time David ever sees him. And when David tries to go and see Professor Hobby, David sees another another machine that looks exactly like him, and that's when he realizes he thinks he's unique, but in a way he probably isn't, because there's other Davids that have been built, and they're like a manufacturing line. But he does turn out to be quite special, at least Professor Hobby thinks he is. And David ends up flying. He falls out of this building and lands into the water. And then that's when David sees Joe, and that's when Joe ends up being arrested. And David rides in that little underwater craft, and that's when David sees this statue that looks like a blue fairy, and then he falls asleep. Oh no, he stares at it for thousands or millions of years, and it ends up, as time goes by, we end up seeing him in the future, and there are these kind of some aliens that find him, and they realize he's the last surviving thing from the human world, and they tell him that they're able to make his mom become alive, but just for one day. And that's when David celebrates a birthday for the first time with that mom who's not really his mom. And the blue fairy is voiced by Meryl Streep. So they lay together, and then she dies, and then he closes his eyes and he dies. So I highly recommend Artificial Intelligence if any of you haven't seen this. So if you haven't already, I would highly appreciate it if you would subscribe over here if you're watching the video by itself, or subscribe down here if you're watching the video on my channel. So I don't know if there's anything else I can say about this. So I love this, so stay cool and roll out to the movies.